and hosted by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of Madhya Pradesh. Uh, Yesterday, we had insightful sessions throughout the day, starting from the morning in the inaugural session. We have seen the presence of Dr. Ajay Kumar, former Union Defense Secretary, who joined us virtually for his keynote address. It was followed. It was also we saw Mr. Abhijit Agarwal, Managing Director, MP State Electronics Development Corporation, not only giving welcome address but also special presentation on what MP ACDC is doing. And chief guest, Sri Om Prakash Sakalech, Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, Government of Madhya Pradesh. He also spoke at length, and he spoke about how Government of Madhya Pradesh is trying to make a difference in the information technology sector. And he talked very interesting thing that when he said that the Government of Madhya Pradesh is focusing on starting courses for young students in school on emerging technologies. That was quite enlightening. It was followed by industry presentation by Mr. Mayank Chaturvedi from HB, by Mr. Abhilash Soundarajan, founder and CEO of Private Sapien. And then there was two, three sessions. One session was on embracing emerging technologies, ensuring effective governance, the best practices, in which we saw presentation and special addresses by Sandeep Verma, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Government of Rajasthan, Manu Srivastava, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Technical Education and Skill, Government of Madhya Pradesh, Sri Sanjeev Pat Joshi, DGP, Fire, Government of Kerala, Sumnesh Joshi, Deputy Director General, Minister of Communication and Technology, Government of India, and by Mr. Amit Kumar Sinha, ADG Police from the Government of Uttarakhand. Then there was a presentation by Government of West Bengal team, Webel, on what they're doing in emerging technologies and cybersecurity. And it was followed by a presentation by Mr. Praveen Patil Kulkarni, Country Manager, Open Text. Then again, we had an interesting session on ICT-enabled infrastructure revamp, in which we saw presence of speakers from various sectors, from metro rail, from smart cities, from IT department. It was attended by Dr. Sanjay Kolte, CEO, Pune Smart City, Dr. Naresh Babu, and Director, Department of IT, Government of Tripura, Jitendra Tyagi, MD Uttarakhand Metro Rail Corporation, and Ashwin Kumar Wasnik from Technology Development Board, Government of India. And then there was presentations by Anil Nama from Controllers Data Centers. As I already told, a special presentation by Abhijit Agarwal on what MPSCDC was doing. That was also there. And it was followed by two, three special addresses. And in the evening, yesterday, we had a valedictory keynote address by Dr. R.S. Sharma, former CEO of National Health Authority, Government of India. That was what has been done yesterday. And today, on day two, again, we have interesting sessions, and there will be live demo presentations. Everything will be there. So for the inaugural session on day two, let me invite Sri Anirudh Saran Singh, Secretary, Department of Information Technology, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. A huge round of applause for him. May I request Mr. Anirudh Saran Singh to come on stage, please? He has come all the way from Arunachal. I request Mr. Satish Kaushal, Strategic Advisor, Government Deloitte India, to come on stage, please. Huge round of applause for him as well. I request Mr. Kiran Anandam Pillai, Advisor Technology, National Health Authority, Government of India, to come on stage. Huge round of applause for him. Colonel Dr. Indrajit Singh, co-founder of India Blockchain Forum. I request him to come on stage, please, as well. And I request Mr. Sunil Wattal, Joint CTO, Department of Information Technology, Government of Haryana, as well, to come on stage, please. I request Mr. Satish Kaushal if you can come on stage, please. So without taking much time, let me invite Mr. Anirudh Saran Singh, Secretary, Department of Information Technology, Government of Arunachal Pradesh, if he can share with us kind of initiatives being taken in the state of Arunachal Pradesh by the IT department, and especially if you can enlighten us how they are using emerging technologies for governance, or what are their future plans. So over to you, sir.
Good morning. When I came here, I was told it will be a panel discussion and not a monologue, but I'll make do with the change of format. Last year in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, we observed the year as the year of e-governance. 22 projects were implemented in the state, which have changed or transformed the digital terrain of the state and have brought governance to the doorsteps of the people. Arunachal Pradesh, as we all know, is geographically a very large state with a very small population, which is very thinly spread across the state. We are 12 lakh people in the seventh largest state of the country. And the major challenge that the government faces is to reach out to this thinly spread population, which is verily impossible using the usual brick and mortar governance model. So the only solution to our challenge of governance is using technology and connectivity. So we have been doing that. One thing which poses a challenge to all government systems is verification and validation of information. The most effective and the most modern solution to that problem is using blockchain. Colonel Inderjeet Singh would be talking about it at length, I believe, in more technical terms. But as a layman, I can lay out a few use cases for us to understand how government can and shall use blockchain technology in its projects and programs. Blockchain can be used for verification of data that is being inputted into the system, which is being brought into the system. That makes the system more robust, that makes the output of the system more verifiable. When I was Commissioner Tax and Excise, we implemented e-Abkari in our state. The tax challans were being duplicated, they were being reused. Using such technology, what we could do is that we could create a system to verify that the challan that we may enter into the system is correct. The credit that is being given to the applicant is right. And the final transport permit which is being generated is not reused. So similar cases can be built and the technology can be used. And as the day progresses, I believe we are going to have a more fruitful discussion on this as well. So with these few words, thank you. And I hope to see a more fruitful discussion here on. Thank you.
We'll have a panel discussion. Don't worry, sir. So it's what the format is that we'll ask all the speakers to first speak about 5-10 minutes about what they're thinking, and then maybe we will have a discussion among ourselves, and maybe we can take some Q&A also. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we can do it now. Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. So the format is that first 10 minutes you can give a presentation or address, and then we'll have a discussion. That is the format. So I request Mr. Satish Kaushal, Strategic Advisor, Government Deloitte India, to give his presentation, please. A huge round of applause for him.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. इसमें कैसे करना? ठीक है, okay. Before we start, I start the presentation today. A bit of an introduction. Currently, I am a strategic advisor in the government space with a global organization called Deloitte. I joined them just about 7 months back. Prior to that, I was for 13 years with EY in the government space, and before that with IBM and Microsoft. So I've been very fortunate to be associated with the programs of change in India through the use of digital technology, right from the day when the first computers, 6-inch, 5.25-inch, and an 8-inch floppy drive machines came to India, as I was working in one of the leading banks in India when computerization started. So I've seen the entire journey. The topic of the day today is digital empowerment. Philosophically speaking, empowerment basically implies giving power to people, to yourself and myself, so that on logical things we don't feel deprived and we can take judicious, analytical decisions which may have an impact on our life, and we don't feel subjugated or subdued to anyone. The right type of or the pinnacle of empowerment is very well written in our scriptures as Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukhabhar Bhavet. What it implies is that may God give us the world in such a manner that everybody is happy, nobody is sick, and everybody sees the world with equanimity as well as love and affection. If that status be achieved, obviously it means right type of empowerment. Because once you have that achievement in life, you are definitely going to be seeing the people with similar barometers of equality and no exploitation, rather, no depravity. Digital India has become recently, and when I say recently, in the last 25 years, one big change agent which has transformed our country in different facets. If you really look at couple of areas where today, where you are versus where you were, or where many nations in the world are today, I think an Indian citizen expects what we call Dil Mange More. That has become a sort of given thing that we would go digital in an accelerated manner day by day because that's the form of our livelihood today. And that is what is empowering a citizen in multifaceted areas. In my presentation today, I would like to just walk you through some facts and figures based on solid data, which my team has developed over the last 3 to 4 days when I got an invitation to come and speak. Some of these facts may just make you feel, wow, is that a reality? Is that happening? But yes, it is. So let me walk you through a few of the things. If you look into the early 2000, what you would find in India, we had very limited connectivity. We had virtually no identity. We were doing almost all the transactions through cash. There were huge literacy gaps. The healthcare was highly fragmented and not even available to millions and millions of people in the country. And we had almost 100% paper government processes. Only banks had started looking towards computerization after 1988. Some of the sectoral challenges I like to mention in the banking sector, until 2016, mostly cash payments, and less than 7% of the people had debit cards or access to ATMs. On the logistics sector, logistics front, transportation, there was a huge waiting time, road infrastructure, checks, controls across the checkposts. Much of the unauthorized goods were easily moving into the country. Transfer of goods was taking a lot of time. Most of the document verifications, right from birth certificate to caste certificate to education certificates, They were all being looked by the authorities and regulators and different agencies, including school and colleges, through the paper-based documentation verification, and that had huge costs. Many a times, or rather quite often, many fake documents and mark sheets were something which were easily creeping in. On the transfer of funds, whether it was a ration card or subsidies, everybody knows large number of fake ghost beneficiaries were there. There was completely lack of digital identity, lack of bank accounts, and inability to track the impact, one of the most important elements that you see now happening. India went through a major population explosion. Our population grew much faster than many other countries. It called for creating a digital infrastructure, digital backbone, so that access to citizens, access of citizens to the governments, of the private sector to people around, to other business, that starts enhancing and gets on to the next level. In 2014, the National E-Government Plan, which had so far been implemented using various mission mode projects, moved into the next level, which we call as Digital India. Then came demonetization, which drove UPIs to the next level. The entire service delivery architecture through the Act of Parliament, wherein commitments of service delivery time was there, it called for complete rehaul of common service centers right up to the rural level. A proliferation of that was created, and more than 250 different services were identified to be delivered to the citizens on the fingertips or at the rural places. A very robust system which could streamline the entire taxation system, and one of the most covetous programs in the country and in the globe. The RGST system was created in 2017. And beyond that, if you look at in the recent time frame, Ayushman Bharat and NEET, NETF, all these areas to identify and streamline the examination systems have been created. If you really look into these areas, these are impacting every citizen day in, day out, every minute. And just to walk you through flagship programs that our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, brought in under the aegis of Inclusive India, or to bridge the gap of digital divide, was what was called as Digital India. What it does is it stands on few parameters: broadband connectivity, digital identity, creating next level of e-governance services, doing education through digital means, entire digital infrastructure, digital payments, and digital health care. These are about 8 pillars of what we define today as the tool of empowerment under the programs of Digital India. Let's look at the success of Digital India and how we as Indians are enjoying and participating at the country level. Out of our total population, almost 98% of people today have Aadhaar card. 141.2 crore people have registered as individual Aadhaar card holders. You'll be surprised, and everybody knows the COVID story of India. 220 crores vaccinations were delivered in the country, and they were managed as well. There are 3 things which Honorable Prime Minister asked Mr. R.S. Sharma. I think he was here yesterday. Our entire tenet of building these applications are based on 3 fundamental parameters: size, scale, and speed. These three elements define the entire delivery model of Digital India. Today, we have over 9.4 billion volume of transactions under UPI, which is one of the world's biggest areas of work which is going on, and over 524 crore lessons in Diksha have been delivered. So that's the success. Now, this is what has brought empowerment to you and me. I came in the morning, I asked the hosts here to get me a ticket yesterday evening. It was blocked. The morning flight was at 5:50. Digi Yatra helped and facilitated. Yet another example of how speed and time can basically be achieved. And this is nothing else but empowerment. You don't have to go through the middlemen. You don't have to handle things in those manners, which was something very common and prevalent earlier. One important element, I think, it was an enlightenment for me. Today, India has over 80% of its adult population having a unique bank number or account number. 2011, our penetration was just about 20% of the population. Today, it is 80%. If we were to continue with the same curve, it would have taken 46 years to achieve 46 years to achieve from 2011. That means somewhere around 2057, we would have achieved 80% of the current population. Whereas it has just taken 6 years to achieve today 75 to 80% bank accounts of Indian population. That is the power of digital empowerment. If you have an account, I don't have to explain how it empowers you. At a global level, while people, we had recently, I'd like to share this, a Deloitte Global Leadership Conference in Delhi, where most of the leaders from Japan, US, Europe, they came. When we presented them this figure, that almost $16 trillion, sorry for that mistake, $16 trillion value of transactions are now happening on our UPIs. It is something which their jaws were hanging. They simply want to replicate Indian programs and projects in their countries. Their scale may not be that much, but they really want to take the best practices here. In fact, one of the key spokespersons said we can give them UIDI entire software to them, entire infrastructure to them. They will not be able to run it. It's just not the technology, it's the management expertise, your commitment, your ability to bring in that change, and then resolving the governance processes at different levels, which is far more important to employ and deploy such programs in the country. Another data point, almost about 30 crores of, 30 lakh 80 crores of DBTs have happened through 313 different schemes. That's the volume of the DBT money that has been transferred. Some of you are already here from the government sector. This, if you add with all the other states and all the schemes, this is the figure which Government of India has published as late as day before yesterday. And in fact, this was a figure which was presented in the parliament by our Honorable Finance Minister also. You might have heard of Umang as a portal. It is mother of all government services portal in the country today. For any type of government service, be it health, be it education, be it transport, be it e-district, just go to the Umang portal and you would be able to get the entire information from your state, of your district, of your individual place where you are. And this results into a massive amount of transaction load on this program, on this portal, And there are already more than 374.99 crore transactions that have happened so far. So, in fact, if you really look at it with 140 crore Indian population, that means that many transactions people are already doing it. Government of India recently launched what is called as the electronic health data record under ABHA, which is Ayushman Bharat Health Account for people to create and have a portability of their movement from one place to the other, where doctors can see you with the just based on a number that is being given to you. 44.2 crores in the last 2 years, ABHA accounts have been created, and 2.16 lakh health professionals registry has been completed. So today, if you want to talk about, say, a name like Dr. Sandeep Sehgal, who is he, where is he registered, which hospital he is, what is his specialization, what is the patient load, when is the time slot available, go to the ABDM website, you'll be able to get entire information about the doctor. You want to go to him, block your time, and you get the appointments. That is what the power of this whole ABDM program is all about. Another area is the insurance. Under the Prime Minister Jan Arogya Yojana, PMJY program, people today are getting massive health insurances to take care of themselves. And the turnaround time of all the settlements have come down from almost a year to just 54 days. Within that period, all the accounts are getting settled. And today there are almost 27,000 hospitals which are providing the insurance services across the country. Another wonderful application, which is the mother of all the applications in India and is helping to transform, and especially after COVID, Diksha platform. Diksha is an education platform which is available with the content of almost every subject you can think of in our local languages. You can download lessons, and this whole Diksha platform till today has 100% availability. That's the security architecture, that's the scale architecture, and it's so difficult to read how many lessons have been delivered so far. Almost 524 crore, more than that, lessons have been already delivered to different students in the country. It is believed, and the target is that by 2035, India should touch about $10 trillion economy, in which digital economy will be a huge element. Digital economy would mean software, will mean services, would also mean electronics. That is what the entire progress of empowering the Indian population is. Since we are sitting here to discuss about digital empowerment, how does it help us? It reduces the friction among people because everybody gets service at an equal level. It increases the trust between two individuals, between private sector and public sector, between governments and people. Compliances are easy to follow. There is easy access to learning, easy access to healthcare, and access to products and services. So with this, I think I'm reminded of an anecdote which our Honorable External Affairs Minister had with his son when he went out for a coffee in New York. So his son and his father, that means Mr. Jaishankar, when they were going into the hotel, they were supposed to produce the certificate of vaccination. Mr. Jaishankar, he just gave from his mobile, the other guy was searching, his son was searching on a piece of paper. That is where Indian government, Indian IT industry, Indian citizens have worked together to create a very, very powerful ecosystem, which unwittingly, I may say, is bringing huge amount of equality among people, empowerment among people. I'll be more than happy to take any questions after this. Thank you.
Thanks, Satish Kaushal, strategic advisor, government Deloitte India. He actually talked about the entire digital governance journey of India in last 20 years. He talked about the amount of digital transactions happening. Uh, that was astonishing. $16 trillion digital transaction. I was not aware of that. That's brilliant. That's the power of digital interventions for governance. And you talked about an anecdote we have seen during the demonetization, how quickly entire country shifted towards the digital payment mode. Even the kabaddi wala started taking in GP or UPI. That was the power of a digital transaction. That also tells the story of India's digital empowerment over the years. Thank you so much for that enlightening and insightful presentation. Now let me invite Mr. Kiran Anandam Pillai, Advisor Technology National Health Authority, Government of India. Again, Mr. Satish also talked about Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Yesterday, Dr. Arish Sharma talked about it. Let's hear from the man who is implementing technology for National Health Authority. A huge round of applause for him, please.
Good morning. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I think to start with, I have been actually, thank you, Satish sir. I think I've been privileged to have worked on 3 at least of the programs you spoke about. So I've been part of the Aadhaar program. That was my first exposure to building technology at scale back in 2011. And subsequently, I've been working on technology for 2 large programs, the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, which provides health insurance cover to more than now 700 million people in this country. And the second program that got launched right in the middle of the COVID pandemic, the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. So my name is Kiran Anandapillai. I'm an advisor technology to the National Health Authority. One of the key, very interesting things, I think, so what I'm going to do in the next 10 minutes is just try to help you guys understand what is this Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission really all about. It's still a bit abstract. It has not had its UPI moment. So I think we are all at an age where we are very clear that just like the government has been building public goods like roads, this is the era of digital public infrastructure. And I think we have seen the power of what Aadhaar can do for your identity. We have seen the power of what UPI is doing as a digital public good for payments. But what are the digital public goods that a country needs to build for healthcare? So that's the question that we had to kind of go through. And what we are doing with the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is really the solutions to what are the digital public goods that a country should put together and how can it actually make a difference to citizens in terms of how healthcare is delivered. So I think in terms of when we think of health and healthcare and health information, I think I'm certain that it's rare for any of you in this room to have seen a diagnostic report recently that wasn't produced on a computer. It's almost always a printed report, right? So all of us got it. So if you got your COVID report, you probably got a PDF. I'm almost certain 99% of you would have seen your COVID test report on your phone first, and then maybe you got a Parchi bit later. While this is great that this is happening, there are 2 challenges with this right now. When does, okay, yeah. So first and foremost, if I ask you to fish out that last diagnostic report that you got from any lab, you may or may not be able to do it. So the fact that you're getting reports digitally, but it's not becoming part of your long-term health record, that's problem number 1. 2, every health institution produces reports in their own formats. It's great for doctors or humans to read, but it's not the best formats for machines to interpret. So those are the top 2 problems. And this is one of the things that the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is actually trying to solve. So all it says is, hey, Mr. Healthcare Provider, if you're creating a digital health data, can you start linking it to something we call as an Aadhaar? So don't just share it with the patient, but put a link to an Aadhaar. And 2, can you make sure that the digital format of the report uses a standard format called FHIR? So that's the 2 key things that we ask of healthcare providers. Of course, providers don't really need to do it. What it actually needs is a change in the software that the provider is using. So our program is more similar to what I can say as a BS4 or a BS5 car. None of us here care about what it takes to make a BS5 car, but we all hope to drive a BS4 or a BS5 car, right? So very similarly, that's what is going to be here. And if you think about what kind of health information we are targeting, the low-hanging fruit is really diagnostic reports and essentially pathology or imaging reports that are there. The next thing that we think will really get linked is discharge summaries, because there are medical, legal, and other demands as to why it's being put together. What's going to be the hardest is actually your OP consultation notes and prescriptions, because that's a big change in behavior that you need to get out of your doctors, because doctors find it far easier to scribble the little prescription rather than actually having to adopt software. So as per the data that we have, out of over 1 million doctors, less than, only about 1 lakh doctors today use digital for the prescriptions and the OP consultation notes part. So it's still a long way to go on the digitization part. Immunization records are also going to be part of this. In fact, CoWINS has being now transformed to UWIN and will actually have universal immunization records. So all of us will have all of these. So India is actually starting very minimal. One of the problems actually the West faces today when it comes to health information is actually too much health information. So if you talk to a emergency care doctor who works in the US, he'll tell you that they're pouring through tons of data to figure out what is relevant. And that shift of digitization in the West was driven mostly by payers or insurance. India does not have similar drivers or pressures. And so we are also starting with a much more clearer view of saying, what's the minimal information we want to have, which is useful in the delivery of care. Now, we said that the whole idea is that everything has to get linked to an ABA, and the whole journey starts with an ABA. So where do you really get your ABA? So right now, all of you can get your ABA by either going to the website or by just using any of these apps. So just like in UPI, where you don't really think about what app you're using, whether you're using Google Pay or Paytm, when you go to a merchant, you scan, you make a payment. Very similarly in healthcare, we're looking to make sure that citizens have access to a whole choice of apps from the private sector and the ecosystem from which you can manage your health information. And we have about 5 apps already out there, including Arogya Setu. So you can all try it out if you haven't already done this. Get one of these apps, get yourself an ABHA. And if you, the mission is designed for people, including people without phones. There's a whole bunch of our population that still doesn't even carry a phone or just carries feature phones. So they can get their ABHA by just using an Aadhaar. So ABHAs are being issued at many public health facilities or as part of public health programs where you can actually get a physical card that essentially represents your ABHA. Now, how do you really use your ABHA? The most easiest way. So in this diagram, what you see in the middle are what we call as the digital public good. So the big digital public good that's part of healthcare, the first one that we're talking about today is called the Health Information Exchange and Consent Manager. So that's what enables this whole magic. Basically, once you get your ABHA, you can go to a hospital. So if you go to a public hospital, even here in MP and across many of India, you will now see a little QR code that's pasted at the counter. And you can actually just scan that QR code with any one of these apps. You're instantly registered at the hospital. And then whenever the hospital creates any new health record for you, it will link it automatically with your ABHA. You will get a nice little notification saying that, hey, you have a health record. You can actually see it immediately on your phone. So this experience is already live, running in over 500 to 600 public hospitals, including many here in MP and across the country. And that's how it works. So the key thing I want to talk about is that this whole architecture from a security and privacy perspective is what we call as a federated architecture. So it's not very different from you having a paper record. So let's say you had a paper health record today with you. You have a copy. You can show it to your doctor or you can show it to whoever you want. That's what you can do with it. It's exactly the same. The hospital or the clinic that creates the health record has a copy. You have a copy and nobody else has it. So the government does not and cannot see what information you have in it. And you can decide who you want to share it with along with your consent. And this is an architecture that completely aligns with what we recently passed, the data protection bill, very much in the parliament just last week. So coming back to the digital public goods of the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, what I spoke to you about so far is just a tiny sliver of the work that the government is doing on the digital public goods. So we talked a bit about what's the interoperable health data. So how can we get everybody to get access to their own health data with personal health records. That's the first thing that this is doing. But the two other things that we are actually working on is also saying, how can we use this new network to create information that's useful for public health purposes? All of us saw, imagine how would anybody have managed the COVID pandemic if you couldn't tell where was the COVID test done, where was the positive, in which area it was, who was being impacted. It was not going to be possible to manage something like that without information flow that flowed in, which comes in. So very similarly, but for a whole wide range of diseases and for epidemic management, the mission is going to help. Plus, it's also going to help create a lot of data and anonymized data sets, which is very important in the world of AI. Apart from this, it's also working on a couple of other things. IRDA and NHA recently announced that almost all payers will have to adopt something called the health claims exchange. So in India, if you run a hospital today, and if you ever go to a hospital with your insurance, you'll find that there's a big room called a TPA room. So depending on the insurance company's card that you say, they will say, okay, I will process it through this guy, because they'll say for Star Health, please go to this portal and upload. For even Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, please go to XYZ and upload your information. And it's very, very difficult for hospitals to actually track and reconcile where their payments are. Also, because the large portion of the processes are not digital, it's very hard for the insurers to apply technologies like auto adjudication. So what the health claims exchange actually does is very simple. We have just standardized the claim insurance form into an e-claim document. So whether it's a public claim or a private claim, you can essentially create that with one single e-claim document. You take that e-claim document you create it in your own software that you use in the hospital, submit it to the health claims exchange. It gives you a transaction ID, and then you can track your claims all the way from its pre-auth till you get payment. Finally, the last area that ABDM is working on is digital health services. So think of today, if a doctor had to do a teleconsultation with a patient, both the doctor and the patient have to use the same platform, say Practo or an MFine. Both of them have to be on the same solution for the whole thing to work. What we are doing with UHI is saying, hey, the doctor can use any software they want, the patient can use any software they want. You can actually find the doctor, book an appointment, make a payment, exchange health records completely interoperably for things like teleconsultations or even booking an appointment to the doctor. So those are the digital public goods. Currently, the National Health Authority has taken the personal health records part live. There's already sandbox and integrations where developers can come in and build for the other two, and are expected to go live shortly. And of course, compared to UPI, health is a very, very different ballgame. Imagine UPI, all of us enjoy UPI, but imagine if banks said, hey, I won't participate in UPI. So you couldn't really get UPI off the ground if you had refusal from banks. But banks had a strong regulator. You did not have too many banks to work with. Very, very different challenge here. We have 200,000 healthcare facilities. When we looked at what kind of people supply software to these guys, we found more than 2,000 people supply software. Not even one software vendor has even a 1% market share. So it's a highly fragmented market. And the challenge that's on us is to convince these software guys to come in, change their software, make their software ABDM compliant, go through a certification, then go back, roll that software into your hospitals, and only then can we actually get to this vision that we spoke about. So it's a very, very challenging and therefore going to be a long journey. We have managed to get about 100 out of these 2,000 guys, some really good names, big guys, to come in. And so the journey is kind of just starting. And there's a lot of what I call as tailwinds now coming. So as many of you might have seen, we just passed the data protection bill. The good part is data protection bill covers healthcare too, in the sense that if a clinic or a hospital is creating a health report which has our personal information of it, they will need to comply with the new bill that's coming up. The easiest way for them to comply will be to use an ABDM compliant software. So that's one of the tailwinds. Second, the National Health Authority is actually giving money for people to participate. 20 rupees for every health record linked right now under an incentive scheme. And I know several hospitals which are actually now, last month I saw somebody got about 3.2 lakhs worth of money for just participating in ABDM and actually linking these bills. So these are the tailwinds that are driving adoption, but we are still far away from the UPI moment. I think it's about 3 to 4 years before all of us will experience this, and hopefully there'll be big numbers back on the screen for what's going to happen. So this is the new digital highway, and we hope that we'll see significant participation and it will touch all of your life soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran, for enlightening us about. I'm Abhijit, the Managing Director, MP State Electronic Development Corporation. I had one question that I think we should also think of, like what we have health app in iPhones on a personal data front, which is now almost like a metadata. Can we do the analytics, which is a citizen-driven activity rather than a system-driven activity, so that the system is not reading the data, but I, as a user, am able to do a time series analysis of, say, my sugar levels, my LDL or HDL level, and I can get a suggested kind of a recipe, which is through a analytics engine, which is very well within the app. This is one of the requests probably. I had a word with Kiran sir also, and Abhishek is also happens to be my batchmate. So, secondly, what I feel for the faster adoption, if the state's government, because I'm not looking the whole thing from the IT perspective, if the state medical reimbursements can be made compulsory using ABHA, and if the state HRMS systems can be given an API for consumption of the data for validation, then it will have a very fast moving around of the whole scheme, because government is a major spender. And I was in finance, and almost 1,000 crore we spend on the medical reimbursement for government employees, right from say a peon to the chief secretary. So, and the third point probably, because I had been to a lot of hospitals, and I say ki bhai abha aap kara do enter, bole I don't have the suit. So there needs to be a very high order of IAC probably in every state. I had a word with Kiran sir. He said ki they wanted to have a conference. So this digital good actually needs to be penetrated on a very fast scale. So probably engagement, multi-stakeholder engagement needs to be there, to start with faster adoption at the hospital level, especially for the private as well as the government. So in that case, probably, some stakeholder can be found out in the state, especially the software developers, who can very well implement the software very fast. So these are certain, suggestions. One is data analytics. Second is, making it compulsory for government employees for a medical claim reimbursement. And even we have got a CM Swekshanudan, wherein there is a CM discretionary fund, which is of 500 crores every year. And that money is given directly to the hospital. So if that can be made compulsory, because these are certain admin decision only. I'm not trying to pose you. I'm just trying to that a push can come from the top. So these are certain points that.
I think wonderful suggestion, sir, and I think absolutely right. The biggest challenge that we do face today is in terms of adoption. In fact, the best adoption that we have so far seen is from the public sector, and that's mainly because of the fact that in the government, it's far easier to push it with what I call as a stick approach. You can write letters from top down and get things to move. I think the struggle for us actually has been, given that the scheme when it started was, in the process set as completely voluntary, both for the provider and for the citizen. It has been really hard for us to find the drivers for adoption, especially in the private sector. So private sector adoption is still a big issue. So if you look at the overall numbers, you would find that almost 90% plus today is still with the public sector, and only about 10% is coming in from the private sector. But we are hoping that it will change. Like I said, the two things that are likely to be tailwinds are definitely going to be, one, the new data protection bill that just come out, and the incentive scheme is also starting to show good traction. So I think that will happen. The other part I did want to share with you was that the apps that I spoke about, all of them allow for users also to upload data which are part of their health record. So for example, if you have home devices where you're doing sugar or BP or other ways, so that's going to be able to come in. But I think we are still some distance away from good analytics of health data in India, like in what you see in the Apple, for a couple of reasons. The reports that say a lab generates. So a friend of mine actually works with data analytics with labs. So he pulls data from multiple labs. For a single test like cholesterol, there are 52 variants of names. And so India still hasn't fully adopted some of the standards to make some of the metrics happen. Well, that's one of the big pushes that we are trying to do with ABDM, but it is a slow journey. And even we have given concessions because we found many times that the vendors could not comply at the speed that we wanted. So it's like we phase it out and saying, okay, you start here, by next year you do this, and so on. So I think I would say if you look at the UPI journey or any of the other journeys, right? UPI, we wrote the specs in 2015. The first set of implementations were in 2016. If I go look at the first set of implementations in 2016, not one of them succeeded. Most of them were done by banks. The private sector and some implementations started coming out in 2017, but really 2019 is when the takeoff for UPI happened. I would say we are in the 2016-17 timeframe for ABDM.
In fact, now it's a very high time, and like NHA should start TV commercials, to put it on the right public forum.
In agreement, sir.
See, that's the beauty of this format. I must tell Mr. Anirudh Sharan Singh also, he talked about panel discussion. I said that it will be like interactive so that we can have both the sides' opinion here in the session. Thank you so much, Kiran Anandam Pillai, Advisor Technology, National Health Authority, Government of India, for a wonderful presentation. And it was, as you rightly said, a lot of things has been done, but a lot of things needs to be done. And as Mr. Abhijit Agarwal has also pointed out that this certain changes can be done. By the way, just to inform all of you, because some of you have joined today, Abhijit Agarwal is the Managing Director of MP State Electronic Development Corporation. He also happens to be the program chair of this conference. So, big round of applause for him as well, and his entire team. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we had a state perspective, then we had a digital governance journey perspective, and then we had a National Health Authority perspective. Let's have a perspective on the emerging technologies such as blockchain. We have with us Colonel Dr. Indrajit Singh, co-founder of India Blockchain Forum. By the way, as far as I remember, he is a globally renowned cybersecurity specialist as well. So let's hear from him. A huge round of applause for him, please.
Thank you very much. And it's a real pleasure to be with all of you. I thought of talking of blockchain, but let me talk of cybersecurity, which is more pertinent topic today. We're talking about the digital empowerment, and everywhere we are seeing things happening. And we saw the digital data protection bill also passing. So what I'm going to be talking of is next 10 minutes is about your security, which is very important. We are all driving the projects which are data intensive. And my question to all of you, audience is, where is your data? Can anybody answer? We've got data everywhere. Your phone has got a data. You've got office data, official data, non-official data. Where is your data? Is it secure? How many for yes? How many for no? How many yes? One. How many for no? Everybody. That's the fact it is. So we are in a turbulent time, and as a country, if I tell you that we are under a constant threat of cyber attacks, I will not be wrong. On 7th of April, we had a group called Anonymous Sudan publishing a site address of 12,000 websites of India, gov.in, on a pastebin darknet site, and telling that, you tell me which one to hack. And they were so audacious in hacking 5 of the airport sites on 7th of April from 3 o'clock till 7 o'clock. Delhi, Bombay, Hyderabad, Goa, and Kochi. So that's the way we are. And so many cyber attacks already happening. And we are in a kind of where the cyber breaches are happening very rampantly. But you may be saying at the same time We don't see any cyber attack happening. That must be one question which should have been asking, Yes. The answer is, one of the chatters of the darknet, they say Indians don't pay, don't hack them. Okay, so that's also a contrary to that. So there's a data exfiltration attacks which are happening, and we are in a constant threat of existential threats right now. We have to really work out, while we are increasing our attack surface, we have to think of the security as the forethought, not the afterthought of everything has been done, let's do something about security. That's where we are going wrong. We have the AIMS attack, we are still struggling to find the complete trail of what happened. Where is the data gone? That's why I asked you, where is your data? So you don't have the right kind of information on this. We already paid 57 crores last year, right, as a ransomware attack on Oil India. We are giving them black and white. And your power grids, we are talking of one grid. There was a report by Recorded Future last year in the month of March, and they came up that 7 of the power grids in India, 2 of the ports in India are under cyber attack. That's Red Eco APT 41. That means it is indicated to China, right? So that's where we are. And while we are talking, every 11 seconds, there is one ransomware attack. And this frequency is going to further decrease to 3 seconds by 2030. And the moment you have a ransomware attack, it's not just, everybody says, can you solve a ransomware attack? The answer is yes. But take it with a pinch of salt, ransomware attacks are not easy to attribute. Every time there's a cyber attack, there is 22 days of average downtime. It can be 60 days. You may be made to go onto the pen and paper and work. While we are talking about digitization, it can happen. So be very careful of all these things. Be aware of the facts. And 20th century, we are being all talking of firewalls, we are talking of antivirus, we are talking of physical spatial security model. That's what we are very comfortable with. Everybody, firewall, IPS, IDS, all security parameters we have. That's the speed of sound we talk of. That's the protection what we have. And 21st century, now what we are doing, 2010 to 25, we are more adaptive, we are more self-organizing. Cyber tools, what we're talking of, they are more of AI and machine learning. Every tool, everywhere we talk of, whether we have a machine learning in it or not. We are in the era of speed of light. And next gen, what we are looking at is more evolving. We are talking of the cyber visions, which are by 2023 till 2028 is more to be integrated. Another 10 years, it's going to be more adaptive. And by 2040, we are looking in for neural kind of security parameters. So you have to graduate the whole security paradigm from your physical security to digital traditional tools and the advanced cyber tools what we are using. So that's how we have to look in from the security paradigm altogether. One interesting thing, and that's what the question every CISO asks, and any CISO you ask him, he says, I will not have a cyber attack, I am very secure. And the left-hand side, I don't want to dwell upon each and every line. All parameters are there in place, from your public policies, your private policies, your access control, your IPS, IDS, access, your DLPs, everything in place. But you have attacks, because attacks are getting more focused. Now it's no more signature-based like antivirus. They're going to be machine learning. They don't give you telltale signs. So your signature-based technologies are not sufficient. Your human factor, insider threats are the most important. We always believe, or all the guys, they are not going to cheat you. Remember, 67% of attacks happen from inside. That's what is a bitter point. There are too many points of silos. Everybody buys, one product from one company, another from another, and thinking that we'll get some kind of security in case of cyber attack, which never happens. And the whole lot of technologies are evolving. Their whole threat landscape, which is changing today, it's so grown up. And like we're saying, the data fusion or the data explosion, I will say, is already happening. And we don't have a real sense of security. Okay, so that's what we have to look in for. And what's the time period? The moment you get attacked, and if you don't come to know anyone amongst the audience, if they're aware, if there's a cyber attack on you, How much time do you think is available for you to react? And if you react, don't react within that particular time frame, you're gone. And that time period is only 10 minutes. So are you prepared for 10 minutes? The answer, you have to find it for yourself, because if you're not going to find it out for yourself, the average is going to be almost 200 days before you really find out what happened in your network. Because any hacker who comes in, the hacker takes his time to establish. And just to tell you, all the hacking groups are not a single person who are doing it. There are organized groups. And that is where the whole challenge lies. They have a person who's qualified as a server man, he's qualified in .NET, he's qualified in Tor, he's qualified in crypto, he's qualified in money laundering, he's expert in handling situations which we are not handled. They have a call center person. So they are running like a profit and loss company. So you're fighting against them. And the age bracket of the hackers is 18 to 23, 24 at the most. And where are we? What are we ready for that? Look at it. You have to look inwards. Good for us. We have the policies in place. 2013 cybersecurity policy. We already identified 6 critical infrastructure under IT Act 7070 Alpha. We got them in. We also brought in a Cyber Terrorism Act 66F in 2019, but we still stumbled upon when we had the AIMS attack. We never put health as one of the critical infrastructure, right? So that's where we have to really think of evolving threat landscape. And very rightly, Kiran brought out the way the things are developing. Health is another area which they're going to target. One more directive, which is very important, and for the audience and for the organizations which are there in the government, there was a CERT India policy of you need to tell CERT India in case of a cyber attack that you've been hit by a cyber attack. That's within 6 hours. But are we ready? That came on 27th of April 2022. We are sitting in August 23. The answer is big no. We have to be prepared for it. We don't know what to do. Most of the organizations have to know it, how they have to inform it, and what logs they have to give it. It's not just informing, that cyber attack has happened. They need to give a log. Because the problem is, anytime we have a cyber attack, the first answer is denial. That's not my data. MobiKwik, their data was being sold in .NET. 1 million guys of India, their Aadhaar card, PAN card being sold. You ask MobiKwik CEO, he says, it's not my data, they disown it. We have to take the ownership of the data which is being sold by them. Other interesting thing, we always think of the security as happening in your organization itself. Every device we think is secure, every bit of networking equipment is secure, but have you thought we are spread all over? We have mobile apps, we have web apps, we have VIP users. Have you ever thought that your CEO is equally vulnerable as your laptop in your organization? The answer is yes. Your third-party suppliers, which we never thought of. Your supply chain attacks are really growing. So your attack surface is growing so much. We have to really look in for, because data and the digital assets, they are now residing beyond your perimeters, beyond your boundaries. You have to really look into, right? And this is how your control is expanding. But are you ready for the control? We are all talking of cloud. We talk of jargons. But are we really worried about it as to, are we secure? The data is getting pushed on the edge, and managing an edge is a nightmare. Everybody is having applications, mobile applications. Every government is going in for a mobile application. But is the data secure? Is the endpoint secure? We have to think of it now. This is how the network would look like. And think, are you having the visibility and control of this kind of network? The answer is a big challenge today, which we have to work up and get onto it. We are going with the old model of walls, and castle and moat, where we thought you put a sentry, you're secure. But now that's not the situation, because you have to have a guard who has to be sitting at each door in the castle itself now to protect. That's the situation it is. You have to really think other way around on the security. And one important point, which is important, is always we think the risk and the threats which are there or the vulnerability which is there is a constant. We bought a firewall, we told some policy, we create some parameters onto it, but thereafter we never change. But your risk and threats are constantly evolving. That is what Gartner came up with a report called CATA, where it says continuous assessment of risk and threats which you need to do. That's what is the future all about. And two things which are worrying right now. One is the AI and another is the chatbot. They are not going away. AI versus AI is the future. We are having offensive AI for malware creations, smart botnets which are going to be there, spear phishing, your adversarial AI, your attacks are going to be very much focused. That's what is your offensive AI going to be. And you got to be really ready with the defense. And don't be surprised, a code can be written in an adversarial manner in case you are being attacked. So you should have a malware detection, you should have SOAR, SOC or IP IDS, which are more AI-based, anti-spam, which is more AI-based. You should go in for a data classification, which are AI-based. Threat intelligence, this is the most important point. I missed it out. We always think all the attacks are lying outside the boundary of your building or your organization, and you are safe inside. That is inward out is the strategy what we follow now. The problem is this doesn't work with the present scenario. You have to think outward in. That means you have to constantly monitor your networks to check what's happening. Where is the malware? I've seen networks, everybody told it's very secure, and there was an APT in the network live creating a .NET link and talking to it. OT security is another, because the power grids, your oil and gas, all the manufacturing, OT networks, operational technology networks, they're all under threat always. We need to think of those security. Your chatbots, your chat GPT is already there. We are seeing warm GPT coming up. There's a threat GPT already there. There's a fraud GPT, which is already there. They're doing rounds. People are giving chatbots as a service for $1,700. So they're going to be launching your social engineering attacks, your spear phishing, which is going to be very much focused. Their spams and misinformation, your fake news, you'll not be able to even find it out using the chat GPT. That's all going to be there, right? And I'll give you an example. Say, for example, you get a call from your boss, and he says, I'm in there, can you help me? And the call drops. Thereafter, he starts chatting with you on the WhatsApp. He says, you can say any name, Sangamrita, and we tell her that, can you help me? She will say yes. I'll say, tell the CFO to transfer so-and-so amount. She knows that he's the boss who's speaking. She may try to reach out to the CFO and, try and do the transfer. But what happened? It was a chat GPT, it was a voice GPT. The criminal went onto the internet, found out the 5 best talks of the CEO, and then he sent a prompt. Find out a sentence, I am Indrajit, in the manner which I speak. Chat GPT will create that text which is there. Thereafter, it will also create a voice of mine. And that is all done. It is my original voice that is being sent, and the person is, trapped. This is all happening. Chat GPT is a fact, right? And I will want to leave with the thought, whatever is the cyber attacks which may happen, there's a one key which can safeguard you is your data protection, or you protect your data, back up your data, follow the 3-2-1 policy of 3 copies of your data, 2 on a different media, 1 offsite. I think if you do that, and the most important is check the data. And while you do the cyber trainings, try and do a tabletop exercises in a cohesive manner, as a team manner, not individual training. I think that will change the whole way we are looking at the cybersecurity landscape. Thank you very much.
Colin Indrajit Singh's presentation reminds me of a film called Die Hard. I forgot which part was it. It was showing that that guy was with whom Bruce Willis was fighting to save his daughter. That guy actually brought entire New York City standstill with a click of mouse, entire traffic management system, energy outlets, everything. So that was 10, 15 years back. Now there's a reality. The threats you're talking about. And you also talked about that certain advisory that within 6 hours we should inform the authority. I remember the cyber attack which happened with Ames Delhi. I think it was more than 6 hours that they did not realize that the data was hacked and data was compromised. So that is important. Thank you so much for your insightful presentation. Let's move to another state now. We have with us Mr. Sunil Wattal, Joint CTO, Department of IT, Government of Haryana. Let's hear his vision on digital transformation and what Haryana state is doing. Over to you, sir.
Okay, good morning. Um I work for the IT department in Haryana, and I lead a group of software solutions group. I lead a group of developers. We do our in-house application development. So what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about IT enablement for e-governance, and I'll just refer to some success stories. I have a long list of success stories in the past 3 years, but I've just picked up 3 stories for you. But just to give you a background of when we talk about e-governance, uh, a lot of discussions have happened since yesterday, and e-governance essentially we're focusing about citizen-centric services, citizen empowerment, speed of delivery, and transparency. Much as it is transparency, there's also a component of accountability, and one of my later slides talks about it. We moved to a scenario where we said instead of discrete applications, we would move to more of centralized applications. And also the focus was on in-house development, moving away from vendors, which gave us an advantage of low cost of ownership, wherein we do in-house development, we use open source technology, gives us advantage in the terms of knowledge retention. It also gives us an advantage wherein we have the same teams. Development and support goes hand in hand. It may be different people, but they're co-located. It is not a transition from a development team to a support team, and that thing happens very seamless. The other part that has happened here is that we have a lot of reusable components which gets reused across departments. Similar things happen across departments. Example in question is there's a DC who wanted an application for a particular district. We made it for them, and then we sort of rolled it out to other districts because other DCs also have similar requirements. So when the requirements are similar, we try to sort of standardize these processes. And goes back to what one of the panelists mentioned yesterday, goes back to enforcing of BPR in the departments, which otherwise they would not have done. So the 3 stories that I'm going to pick up, the first story I'm going to talk about is our recruitment portal. We have a centralized recruitment portal which was developed within last couple of years. The whole thing started with acceleration of recruitment process. This is a centralized digitized website being used. The portal is being used both by Staff Service Commission and the state's Public Service Commission. The whole concept started with one-time registration of candidates. We said that any candidate who aspires for a government job in Haryana will have to go and register himself on this website once. So what at the time of registration, he gets a unique registration ID, which is valid for him to apply for multiple jobs as and when the vacancies come up. So that becomes a sort of a mandatory process. And when the person registers, he feeds in his basic data, and we do some authentications. Especially we do an Aadhaar auth. And we also validate his mobile number and his email ID, his or her email ID. Along with that, we take in family details. We take in our state, we have something called a Parivar Pehchan Patra, which records the family ID and the member ID. So and that's gradually becoming mandatory in the state. So when a candidate registers, if he registers with his PPP ID, a lot of data gets validated. So you can validate, especially in case of recruitment. What is very important is the socio-economic factors, because based on categories, based on various castes and categories, there are certain leverages that are given for jobs, and all that socio-economic validation is done through PPP. Uh, After registration, the next thing that comes up is the common entrance test. We conducted a common entrance test for Group C positions last December, and we had a registration of about 17 lakh candidates. It was the common entrance test in Haryana was one of the biggest state entrance tests that was done in the recent times, with more than 14 lakh candidates, 14.5 lakh candidates appearing on the same day. So which was a humongous job. And what's happening also is when people register for this test, there's a candidate document verification happening. Right now, that document verification happens by way of the candidates are uploading their documents, and these documents are checked centrally somewhere. But going forward, the plan could be that these could be we could interface them with the National Academic Directory, so that a candidate ultimate vision is that the candidate just plugs in his roll number, year of passing, and the university, and from the academic directory one can validate his documents. Uh, uh, Post this, the whole process, we also generate admit cards, and we also generate admit cards online, and then display test scores. This is the process is being followed both at different levels. We had Group C exams last year. We're doing Group D right now, and we're also rolling out same thing, same process. The same application is being used for Public Service Commission also for on a trial basis for certain positions. Right. So this is one of the showcases. Very huge volumes. We had data challenges. We had teething problems. The first run was very difficult, but now it's going on very smoothly without any problems and without any concerns per se. The second thing that I'm going to talk about is we have a portal called Saral Portal. Saral Portal is a unified platform for all G2C services. So, as a citizen, if I have to avail of any government service, I just need to go to this Saral portal. I'll go and create a login first time. Once I create a login, I can avail any of the government services. I do not need to visit any department. It is almost something akin to what Satiji mentioned earlier about Umang. It's like the Umang application. There's a single portal, single point where all departmental services can be availed, and it's again paperless. It's aligned to the vision of paperless and faceless service delivery. And as the citizen does not need to go to to any department at all. There are three modes of application here. One can apply on the portal, one can use the mobile application, or the third point, people who do not have connectivity or who do not have access, we have something called citizen service centers. So in the rural areas, generally it happens, people walk up to the citizen service center, and there's a facilitation center. The guy sitting there fills up the form for you, fills up the application for you. And also when I want to apply for a service, the moment I log in, there's a drop down of services. I choose a service. For example, I choose the service as a birth certificate. I need to create a birth certificate for somebody. There's a document on the side which pops up, which gives me an SOP of that service. It gives me stepwise, it guides me stepwise. What all do I have to apply? How do I apply for this, and what do I have to fill in the fields? So that's a very, very strong knowledge management system that we are retaining here. Other than this, the portal also has a dedicated helpline. We have a call center which supports Saral, and on this call center, they're both. You can track your tickets, you can track your applications, you can raise issues, and there's a proper ticketing system for that. We do get about 10 lakh applications per month. We deliver 6 lakh tracking SMSs, and the helpline receives almost 1.2 lakh calls per month. There is also a proper feedback mechanism. We use IVRS. At the end of every application, there's an IVRS call which goes to an applicant. Again, there's another call which goes to an applicant at the end of the service delivery when the service is rendered. Both the times we record, we take the rankings. The rankings, all that data is collated, it is analyzed. It is analyzed by various cuts, by particular departments, by districts or whatever, and to find out what are the, basically to find out where are the weakest links and where can we improve the same. Benefits, I've already mentioned most of these benefits, and it also is actually, it also augments. Our state has a right to service act. So as per RTS, we are supposed to deliver services within a particular timeline. Every service has a defined service level agreement. So if a birth certificate is to be delivered within 10 days, the moment it crosses 10 days, it also generates an appeal. So the citizen also has an appealing mechanism. There's also an appealing mechanism built in there. And this is a platform which gives me a cut for finding out the aging of pending applications, which is very helpful in some of the analytics here. Okay, this is just a screenshot. The first one is the top one is a dashboard which even a user can go and see, and you can click and drop down. The number here is the total number is about 6 crore applications which is received within the last. There's a total application, but we can go airwise. The bottom graphs are what we analyze. We do a department-wise analysis, a district-wise, a service-wise analysis, and things like that. Okay, the third success story that I'm going to talk about is our CM dashboard. This whole requirement started with our honorable CM wanting a dashboard where he could have a unified, consolidated view of all the departments. So he says, I don't want to get into 10 different departments, and all departments have their own separate applications. What we have done here is we have created a dashboard with visuals. It's highly visual oriented, and it takes in data, live feed of data from various departments, all integrated together. We have the data comes in through APIs and it gives an overall view to the top executive to see where we are faring. So one of the challenges here was to finalize the KPIs, the metrics for each department. So the honorable CM decided these are the metrics. This is what I want to see in these departments. And for the past few months, all his department reviews, all his reviews with the respective department heads are happening with the help of this dashboard. Just to give you a look here, this is how the dashboard looks like. And it's a BI tool, highly visual. And if you see at the top row, there are a lot of filters. In fact, every dimension that this data has carries a filter. And if the moment one filters, I'm sorry, I cannot show you the live thing because it is not on internet. It's restricted, it's on a private VPN. So if I select any of the things from the filters up there, let's say I select a department there. And if I'm talking about a particular department, let's say health department, all the figures, everything on this dashboard will change and display only metrics pertaining to health department. Similarly, the other thing we have is, if you see this map in the center, I can go and click on it. This map shows the districts of our state. I can go and click on any of these districts. And the moment I click on that, I get a whole holistic picture of the whole thing, right? This is one sample. The other sample I have is, okay, this is another sample. Again, here, if you see the horizontal bars, there are these horizontal bars and all these numbers, there are those icons. The moment we click on any of these, it throws up a table and shows us the things. And one of the things that an executive is interested in is, most of the cases, he's interested more in what are the pendencies and what are the agings. So, for example, if I see the pending things here, and if I go and click on that pending, it will give me an entire list, a tabulated form of what is pending. A very important, and because we had to see those pendencies, because we had to see that drill down data, because of that drill down data, it brings us to very high data volumes. We have about 50 million data points here on this dashboard, and The other thing I just wanted to mention is we've also integrated, when I go to a pendency, a drill down, we have captured, this was a requirement wherein we were supposed to capture, and we capture the phone numbers of the citizen who has raised this request, the phone number of the officer who is attending to that. So, and then we have integrated this dashboard with phones, so that when the dashboard shows up the phone number, you click on the phone number and then immediately a call is connected to that citizen or a call is connected to that officer. So we've had instances where during a review, during a departmental review, the top executive is directly speaking to the citizen and asking him, okay, you had raised this request, has this request been addressed or not? And there are also times when he calls up the concerned officer, why is this pending, and things like that. A very, very robust mechanism for reviews, and one of the most successful projects that we've done in the recent times. So that's all. Thank you. I'll be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sunil Wattle, Joint CTO from the IT Department, Government of Haryana, as you have told us that some of the initiatives being taken, Saral. I think simplifying citizens' life through e-governance solutions, that can be the one line if I have to sum up. I know we're running short of time, but I'll ask one question to Anirudh Saran Singh. I can't help then asking this question because I have been to Arunachal. Why I want to ask you this question is that I remember as a journalist, I went to Arunachal 15 years back, all the way from Guwahati to Tawang to cover Dalai Lama's visit. And I remember it took us almost 10 hours. There was only one cyber cafe in Tawang that time, 15 years back. It almost took 10 hours, 8 hours for us to send little bit of feed to our head office because there was a BSNL collection. And every time we used to send the video, it is going to cut because of the connectivity issue. So I want to ask you, in a difficult terrain of Arunachal Pradesh, how you are ensuring this government service delivery through digital means, with the keeping in mind the problems of connectivity in that difficult terrain. Your thoughts on that, sir?
So, thank you for the question. And I should have covered this in my piece. The backbone of any electronic service delivery is connectivity. And there was definitely a lack of it. This gap was felt, discussed, deliberated upon in 2017. In fact, you mentioned Tawang, and it would be interesting to tell you that we had the Northeast Connectivity Summit in Tawang in 2017, where this gap was discussed threadbare. Post that, we have installed, with the help of Government of India, 1,200 mobile towers in the state. We are in the process of installing 1,000 more. We installed around 1,700 VSAT machines, and that provided the kind of connectivity framework which has allowed government services to be delivered to the doorsteps of citizens. So I think that would answer your question.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. That I think it deserves a round of applause, the kind of transformation. So that's the power of technology and how it can transform. I remember Mr. Dhan Singh Rawat, Honorable Health Minister of Uttarakhand, was in Delhi last month in one of our health conferences. He also said that in difficult terrain of Uttarakhand, how they have transformed lives in terms of healthcare delivery through telemedicine during the peak of COVID. That's the power of technology. That's how they have transformed. Thank you so much. I think the entire panel needs a round of applause for an insightful session on various aspects of best practices. Uh, I request Ritesh Kumar Agarwal, CEO Chhattisgarh Infotech Promotion Society, to come on stage and kindly hand over mementos to our eminent speakers. Huge applause for him as well. He's attending the conference since yesterday, but he doesn't want to speak. But we got this opportunity to take him on stage. Please, sir, can we have the mementos? We can start with Anirudh Saran Singh, Secretary Department of IT, Government of Arunachal Pradesh. Huge round of applause. He has come all the way from Arunachal to Mr. Kiran Anandam Pillai from National Health Authority, to Colonel Dr. Indrajit Singh, co-founder Indian Blockchain Forum, to Mr. Sunil Wattal, Joint CTO Department of IoT, Government of Haryana. To Mr. Satish Kaushal, Strategic Advisor, Government Deloitte, India. I'll request for a group photo. Neha, if you can also join us for this photo. Can we have a group photo, please, together? Abhijit sir, can you join us for the group photo, please? Sangamita ji, Gopi, can you please join us for the photo, please? That was a wonderful inaugural session of day 2. I request Shri Abhijit Agarwal to, he wants to make an announcement regarding an upcoming conference. So, sir, if you can kindly announce it.
Good afternoon. I think we're just reaching afternoon. One thing I, realized today that cybersecurity is going to be an important issue and actionable item for almost all the state entities. So today I'm announcing in collaboration with APAC, we'll have a national or a 2-day conference on cybersecurity in Madhya Pradesh in next to 1 or 2 months. We'll plan it accordingly, wherein we will invite industry partners, state governments, state entities to deliberate and to draw an action plan on how we can, gear up ourselves in cybersecurity, and even privacy can also be added as an element in consonance with the recent DPDP bill. So today only I thought, and I had discussion with APAC team. So yes, I mean, it's a sensitization that is coming. So how early we prepare ourselves is something which will hold us, because we all are, sitting on the gold mines of data. So those gold mines should not become the bomb mines, So that is how we should all gear up ourselves, and this will be a good, and we'll also try and issue a white paper after this deliberation, and as actionable point for a lot of state entities. I mean, I'm not trying to say that I'm the expert or we as an expert. We all will learn from the ecosystem of industry and engagement with the state entities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. And I'm sure that event will also be as exciting as this. And we'll surely come up with a white paper for that conference. And Avit, sir, we'll also come up with the event report of this conference so that all the points are documented and some actionable outcome can be taken forward. Thank you so much. With this, I request Mr. Prasun Talukdar, National Manager, Business Development, Digital India and Strategic Projects, Government and Public Sector, Open Text, to come on stage and to give a presentation. And after that, we'll have a very interesting session by Nikhil Mahadeshwar, founder of Cyber Secure India. He'll be giving a live demo on transferring governance through cyber security and digital forensics armed with emerging technologies. And I'm sure both these presentations will be as exciting as the inaugural session of day 2. Over to you, Prasun.
Very good morning. Can I get the slide, please? So when the slides are coming up, so first of all, good morning and warm welcome to all. First of all, I'd like to thank Department of Science and Technology and MP SEDC, Mr. Abhijit Agarwal and his team, and the APAC networks, of course, to give us an opportunity to share our point of view on the digital transformation in government and public sector. Yesterday, you have seen, you have probably gone through one of the presentation from our side by my colleague Praveen Kulkarni about the cyber security solutions and the its impacts in the the government and the public sector. So today, I am going to talk about more on our point of view about the interpretation of the digital transformation in government and public sector, and we'd like to touch upon some of the aspects where what we are doing in India with various government departments and government customers. So probably many of you may be or may not be aware that open text is actually, earlier it was Micro Focus. I think Micro Focus is more popular name in the industry. So we have become open text very recently. There's a name change and there's a combination of two organizations together. So far, from yesterday, the whole day and till today, there are a lot of interesting, the insightful discussion has happened, from various executives and the officers from the government and the industry. So I just try to kind of capture few, bullets, which is my takeaway, because it was very insightful and good learning from us as well from the industry. So one of the things which actually came up is the AI, artificial intelligence becoming core to the to the various operations and the initiatives of government and enterprise, and that is where it has got a huge impact on the industry today. And second one, what also came up is that in terms of India, we have seen the huge penetration of IT and the digital into various segments. But now I think government is more focusing on more proactive governance, so that nobody is left out in the citizens in terms of the different service deliveries. So that is a proactive governance, and privacy and the cyber security was another discussion point. Today also morning we have heard many speakers was talking about its impact, its importance, and one more announcement also by Abhijit Saab in terms of coming up with another conference on that. Another one also came up is that while there are multiple platforms which has been developed in India for various departments, various ministries, starting from Indian Railway Reservation Center or maybe Ayushman Bharat, CoWIN, UIDI, income tax e-filing, and many more. But I think Abhijit sir has mentioned one thing is that how this application usage can be made simple for the users, whether the lighter applications or the simple applications. So simplicity is probably one of the things which I have seen probably the importance for us for the discussion. Now with this keep in background, just like to share our point of view, where we are today and what is the future is looking up in terms of the whole perspective today. Now if you see that we have so many platforms which is being developed by the government of India today and also in the state level, and like income tax, I just mentioned about railway reservation or CoWIN app and many more, right? Now if you see that is actually the whether it is a government organizations or enterprise, everybody is becoming a software company, software organizations, because things are driven by software, and that is where it is finally getting into a mode where service delivery becomes at the speed of digital. So there's a lot of expectation, a lot of demands will be coming up in next couple of years. And definitely, finally, every organizations or every government department is becoming an ecosystem of digital components, right? So that is what become very, very important. Another one which is coming up, which we expect to be there, is that things are going to be more human-centric. India is one of the youngest country today in the world, and we have probably 40% population will be age of 35 by 2030. Now, what it means is that the whole talent pool, the workforce, the way they are consuming softwares today, and things will change over time. And this is going to be more instantaneous, more instant expectation, and more instant experience. Now, this is a change we are going to see, and so that has got a bigger impact on the government, on the industry today, the way we are creating the services, delivering services for the customer, for our citizens. And definitely the purpose of any system or any service delivery also going to change over time. Of course, there are change in the order of the politics, in the order of various ways of running the operations or doing the business today. Climate change, I think, has got a bigger impact into whatever we are doing today, whether it's the enterprise and the government, right? So sustainability, greener power, green initiatives. We have already cut trillions of trees, right? Because of whatever reasons, development in the name of development. We know that cryptocurrencies are becoming popular now. When you talk cryptocurrency, probably it is powered by so many power plants to run the data center. So apparently, when we see the things, but in behind there are a lot more changes are happening, and those changes has a bigger impact on our nature. So it is so when it's a digital or the IT, it is nothing different from the society or the things happening around us. So a lot of things will be impacted by this particular change. Privacy and cyber security we have been discussing again. I mean, that has got a definitely the bigger impacts coming up. And finally, I think trust factor is becoming very, very important, whether it is a private or government or an individual. So a lot of things will be trust based. Now, creating a brand of trust will be another important factor going forward, whatever we are going to do in government. Definitely, there are technologies we have been discussing about. AI probably will become mainstream in couple of years. It is becoming. It has got a much bigger impact of the employment. So something will go away, some new things will come up. So huge impact on the demography or the society today going to happen. We are seeing our next generations are more pro towards the metaverse. They are probably moving away from standard Facebook to different kind of environment today. So this is going to be impacted definitely in the government or the enterprise space going forward. Definitely overall, all those things will open up a lot of changes. Now, when we are talking about the changes, let's look at just a couple of minutes in what is the impact of it in the government, and especially the verticals which is related to the government. So government has been spending a lot of money, a lot of investment creating digital infrastructure today. Now, object is very clear. It has to be the proactive governance. It has to be the happy citizens, and definitely it's finally making the government operations smarter so that it can happen much lesser cost of operations. Manufacturing, just in case manufacturing is something which is demand today. We have seen Ukraine war, and which has impacted the whole supply chain. So this is going to be another area where we'll find that information and automation is going to create a lot of opportunities or the new opportunities in front of us. Financial services. India is aspiring to be $1 trillion economy by 2030. So that itself shows with the UPI and different payment app, bank account for all, financial inclusion, those things coming up, and that actually is going to trigger a lot more leverage of information or the automation or the AI in coming future. Life science, we have seen drug research, drug discovery is actually leveraging analytics and the big data today. And definitely IML is also there. We have seen the very recent example of COVID vaccine being developed with a record time, right? We have never seen within 2 years or 1.5 years time medicine vaccine was available today. So this is another area where information and analytics is going to play a big role. Healthcare, I think Pillai Sahab has mentioned about how the healthcare is getting transformed with using the technology, and there are a lot of policy making things are also getting kind of bridge, and to make sure that whole healthcare system is seamlessly integrated. But another point is that today government is probably trying to reach out to the masses where nobody is left out as per the healthcare is concerned, right? So teleconsulting, telemedicines, those things are again driven by the information technology or the analytics or the automation. Telecom, we have seen India is taking a lead in terms of the 5G standards, which was never thought of. Space research, we have seen one of the largest producer of the launch of satellites today in the world. Now these are the things that driven by again IT and the automation. Energy, in the power sector, there are a lot of lot of changes, lot of transformation is happening on smart grid, greener power. So moving from coal-based power plant to greener power. Now that is where we think that again the smart grids, IoT or the automation is going to play a lot of role in terms of implementing those initiatives going forward. Transportation, definitely another area where you have the traffic control system in the city, or it is a where the multimodal transport system are triggered by the technology itself. You talk about the airports today, airlines. Now you go to the airport today. We have seen the new initiative of DigiYatra, where is a frictionless travel. So you don't need to touch minimum points when you are entering the airport to the boarding the flight. Same thing happens on probably the railway system as well. We see, I mean, there's a IRCTC as becoming, improving every year with a new kind of services and the giving a different kind of experience to the passengers. So these are the things are now going forward. Probably have more and more opportunities will be coming up. New possibilities will be coming up for us. At the same time, new challenges. Now, let me just give you a few examples. How we as an organization, OpenText, is working with some of the Indian customers, and they are probably the some of the leaders who are taken those initiatives, which is coming up probably next few years, but started happening today in our country as well. Now, if you see that from the right side of it, it is the quality of application delivery. Now, quality of application delivery is very, very critical because that will actually help to adapt the applications on mobile, on portal by the citizens or the users, right? And that is where I think you have seen the examples of income tax e-filing. That is one of the things everybody's. I'm saying that most of the people are being touched because we file our returns, every year end of the that these applications are tested for that number of users so that it doesn't fail, right? The site doesn't crash. We know the examination applications today in various states. The day the result declares, that is the day site crashes. But why it is happening? Because applications are probably not tested for that workload or the user workload coming on that particular day. So it is important to do the testing. Good news is that government of MP, they also have started created a center of excellence for testing, and that is where we are also partnered with government and working with Abhijit sir team. GSTN is another example. I think they do their application testing every 15 days because it is not a question of checking your application is working right or wrong once before the rollout. It is actually happening regular basis because there are a lot of policy changes, a lot of changes happen in the application, and then you have to do the whole testing so that the things are on track or not. Coming to the smarter and the secure digital operations. So we talk about customers like RailTel, CRIS, which is a agency for the Indian Railways IT management services, national informatics centers. So these are the organizations where we have helped them to set up their security operations, and we are also helping them to run their digital operation, the IT operations today, right? CDAT, they have set up their own security operations for their internal purpose. There recently we have also partnered with them and helped them to develop that particular setup. Smart city has been a great success story for us across the country. Almost 70% smart cities, we actually help them to create the digital operation centers, security operation centers to manage their entire infrastructure, which is IoT and IT, which is deployed across the city. So that is where we have been working on in many customers in India. All the three armed forces, so their unified communication and the secure network, which is basically they have created a universal network for all the forces by which they communicate for different secured messaging and informations. So we help them to supported them with our technology to build up that particular network with our security solutions and the digital operation softwares. Business efficiency and the user experience. I think when it's a business, it's definitely related to government and enterprise both. When it's a user experience, it is user can be citizen and customer both. Now here we have supporting multiple customers, and especially I've just mentioned about two names here, which is SAP and Microsoft, because they use our content management software, which actually part of their solutions, which actually goes and implement some of these business applications into various public sector undertaking like IOCL, ONGCs, and many state government power companies today. So what we do in a summary, because we have a quite large portfolio of solutions, it is not, I'll just give a overall message so that you can relate that what we are actually trying to do. So what we help, we are an information management company. Now what we do is that we help customer to create the system of records. So you have data, you have information, and then you create a single source of truth for all your information, all your records. After this records are being created, then there's an engagement coming in. There are different stakeholders. It can be users, it can be customers, it can be auditors, it can be many more entities who are using these records or information. So system of engagement is something that we help customer to create with our software. Next level is definitely the system of insights, because all information, all records is finally to get get insights by which you do take some decisions, by which you operate your systems, operate your business. So that is where it's coming in. Now, how we are doing it? By build, automate, connect, and secure, predict, and act. So there are different different solution sets coming from the application delivery to application modernization, to business network, digital operations, and then definitely the cyber security side, where we help customer to secure their data, application, and infrastructure, and definitely the content management, and finally the giving the experience, digital experience for the citizens or the customers. Who knows my heard about the Micro Focus? So this is our original portfolio, where we actually have a cybersecurity solutions on starting from different aspects. Then there's an application delivery solutions, which is more of a DevOps, and and the application quality applications softwares. Then digital operations, and then definitely modernization of the applications are analytics. Open text coming in. We have another set of solutions coming in, which is primarily the smarter information, which is the content management solutions, then the smarter experience, the digital experience, and definitely the smarter network. I'm just probably just touch on a few things that we can relate. So content management is something which is is being heavily used in different land records, land reforms projects, or even a Minister of Finance, or maybe organizations who deals with lot of records. Smarter experiences, digital experience is becoming one of the important things today, because whenever we deploy an application, you want to see how the user, the citizens are taking those applications, they're using the applications. So this can be a customized or the personalized kind of experience can be created for the customers or for the users or the citizens today. Definitely there are cybersecurity, we have already spoken about. Smarter applications, again, this is the DevOps and the testing solutions, which is being used by many governments today. Smarter digital operations is primarily your IT service management and monitoring your data center, cloud, and definitely you have a lot of AI-based operations today, which is a new buzzword in terms of the IT operations management. And definitely the analytics, AI, ML, we have been discussing. So this particular solution actually helps customer to have the data warehouse, and at the same time with the AI, ML layer coming in, helping customer to get the insight out of your large data sets. This is open text as an organization. So I'm not getting into the details of it. We have large presence in India today. We have 6,000 people for the R&D center in Hyderabad and Bangalore. We are 20 years in this country, and this is also in line with the Make it India initiatives of Prime Minister's office. 70% central ministries are today using our solutions. Great reference. It probably giving a lot of confidence that what we can do for many customers. Smart city, I've just told that it's a big case studies today for us in India, and it becomes a reference for our global customers as well. In terms of different states, I think we are supporting a lot of state data centers, a lot of SWAN projects in various states. So that's what from my side about open text and our solutions. So I'll be happy in case any questions you have now, or I can be around